Today is April 29th, 2026, and this is Read Through the Bible.
Hi, everyone.
Today we're reading Job chapter 38 and 39.
That's right. This is where God is going to answer Job.
Yeah. Job has been taunting the Lord, wanting an audience with him, wanting to contend his case.
God, listen to me. I want to plead my case before you.
Yeah, in fact, he just says, I'm going to present my case in chapter 31, particularly when he said about how innocent and how righteous he was and wanted to contend with the Lord. He wanted, chapter 31, verse 35, that indictment written by God, so it can be written down, so I can defend my case. And finally he gets a chance. And I love verse 3, where it says, "Dress for action like a man, Job. I'm going to question you. And okay, you're so smart. How about I just throw some questions out there?" And so in chapter 38, the questions you're going to give is about...
I think basically God is going to say, do you understand and control the heavens and the weather?
Yep.
And then do you understand and control the animals?
Yep. That's what we're going to talk about today. Just all these questions that are all meant to be pretty rhetorical. Like nope, you're right, God, only you can do that. You're right, God, only you know that. You're right, God, only you're powerful.
Because obviously the answer is no. Job, and no one else understands or controls the heavens and the weather, and no one else fully understands or controls the animals.
Yes. I think a key to this verse, these chapters also come in Job, early in Job. Job chapter 9, verse 3, Job says, if one wished to contend with him, as a God, one could not answer him 1 in 1,000 times. So even though Job knew that, he had forgotten it or didn't quite understand it or embrace it. And so here's the time. Job cannot answer him once in 1,000 times. So, okay, here we go. And this is the key to the whole book. This is how it ends. Regarding the matter of suffering, God's in control. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, "Who is this that darkens counsel by words of knowledge? Dress for action like a man. I will question you, and you make it known to me."
Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me, if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it? On what were its bases sunk? Or who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy.
Or who shut in the sea with its doors when it burst out of the womb? When I made clouds its garment and thick darkness its swaddling band, and prescribed limits for it, and set bars and doors, and said, "Thus far you shall come, and no farther. And here shall your proud waves be stayed." Like, in other words, God formed the world. At first it was kind of like covered with water, is kind of what we sense. And then he brought the land out of that, and he brought the land. The waves can only come up so far. Yeah. And this is talking about God doing, none of us created the world and did this.
No. Verse 12, have you commanded the morning since your days began, and caused the dawn to know its place?
And at that point, I think about this scene in this book called The Phantom Tollbooth.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was Barbara Coyle, and Tim was the Irishman who read with us a couple days ago.
So his wife, when she was my roommate, she talked about how much she loved the book, The Phantom Tollbooth.
It's a great book, parents. Get this book to read to your kids, really good. But on one of these scenes, he's got someone like a conductor who is conducting the sunrise and bringing the colors, just like a conductor would conduct an orchestra. It's sort of like how majestic this is. And this is what God does. He conducts the sunrise every morning. And we don't do that, of course.
Right. And so he's asking Job, do you command the morning and cause the dawn to know its place?
No.
Verse 13, that it might take hold of the skirts of the earth and the wicked be shaken out of it? It is changed like clay under the seal, and its features stand out like a garment. From the wicked their light is withheld, and their uplifted arm is broken.
Have you entered into the springs of the deep, or walked into the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been revealed to you, or have you seen the gates of deep darkness? Have you comprehended the expanse of the earth? Declare if you know all this.
Where is the way to the dwelling of light, and where is the place of darkness? That you may take it to its territory, and that you may discern the paths to its home. You know, for you were born then, and the number of your days is great.
Have you entered the storehouses of the snow, or have you seen the storehouses of the hail, which I have reserved for the time of trouble, for the day of battle and war? What is the way to the place where the light is distributed, or where the east wind is scattered upon the earth?
Who has cleft a channel for the torrents of rain, and a way for the thunderbolt, to bring rain on a land where no man is, on the desert in which there is no man, to satisfy the waste and desolate land, and to make the ground sprout with grass?
Has the rain a father? Or who has begotten the drops of dew? From whose womb did the ice come forth, and who has given birth to the frost of heaven? The waters become hard like stone, and the face of the deep is frozen.
Okay, now we're going to talk about some constellations of stars. Verse 31, can you bind the chains of the Pleiades, or loose the cords of Orion? Can you lead forth the Mazzaroth in their season, or can you guide the bear with its children? Do you know the ordinances of the heavens? Can you establish their rule on the earth? Can you lift up your voice to the clouds, that a flood of waters may cover you? Can you send forth lightnings, that they may go and say to you, here we are? Who has put wisdom in the inward parts, or given understanding to the mind? Who can number the clouds by wisdom, or who can tilt the waterskins of the heavens? When the dust runs into a mass and the clods stick fast together.
Okay, so there, just God is speaking about just the creation of the world, the weather that comes forth, the stars you put together. Can you do that?
Even
and of course
the seas.
We can't. Yeah, and now in verse 39, it would have been better if this was chapter 39, because here he turns to the animal kingdom and says, okay, Job, what do you know about the animals? Okay, here we go, verse 39. Can you hunt the prey for the lion, or satisfy the appetite of the young lions? When they crouch in their dens or lie in wait in their thicket, who provides for the raven, its prey, when its young ones cry to God for help and wander about for lack of food? You know, a good help for you. Yeah, it's a chapter break there. A good help for you would be to, put a box around every different animal. So far we've seen the lion and the raven. We're going to see the mountain goats and the wild donkeys and the wild ox. Like, just circle them, because that's what this chapter is about. So that when you come to this chapter, boom, those things, the animals will pop out for you.
Okay, 39 verse 1. Do you know when the mountain goats give birth? Or do you observe the calving of the does? Can you number the months that they fulfill? And do you know the time when they give birth? When they crouch, bring forth their offspring, and are delivered of their young? Their young ones become strong. They grow up in the open. They go out and do not return to them.
Who has let the wild donkey go free? Who has loosed the bonds of the swift donkey? To whom I have given the arid plain for his home, and the salt land for his dwelling place. He scorns the tumult of the city. He hears not the shouts of the driver. He's just stubborn, this wild donkey is. He doesn't listen to the guy driving him. He ranges the mountains as his pasture, and he searches after every green thing.
That was the donkey. Now here's the wild ox. Is the wild ox willing to serve you? Will he spend the night at your manger? Can you bind him in the furrow with ropes, or will he harrow the valleys after you? Will you depend on him because his strength is great, and will you leave him to your labor? Do you have faith in him that he will return your grain and gather it to your threshing floor?
Then comes the ostrich, verse 13. The wings of the ostrich wave proudly, but are they the pinions and plumage of love? For she leaves her eggs to the earth and lets them be warmed on the ground, forgetting that a foot may crush them and that the wild beast may trample them. She deals cruelly with her young as if they were not hers. Though her labor be in vain, yet she has no fear, because God has made her forget wisdom and given her no share in understanding. When she rouses herself to flee, she laughs at the horse and his rider.
Verse 19, do you give the horse his might? Do you clothe his neck with a mane? Do you make him leap like the locust? His majestic snorting is terrifying. He paws in the valley and exults in his strength. He goes out to meet the weapons. He laughs at fear and is not dismayed. He does not turn back from the sword. Upon him rattle the quiver, the flashing spear, and the javelin. With fierceness and rage he swallows the ground. He cannot stand still at the sound of the trumpet. When the trumpet sounds, he says, aha! He smells the battle from afar, the thunder of the captains and the shouting.
You're talking about the war horses there. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then finally the birds, the hawks and the eagles, verse 26. Is it by your understanding that the hawk soars and spreads his wings toward the south? Is it at your command that the eagle mounts up and makes his nest on high? On the rock he dwells and makes his home, on the rocky crag and stronghold. From there he spies out the prey, his eyes behold it from far away. His young ones suck up blood, and where the slain are, there is he. Okay, so that's the animals. So summing up chapter 38, dress for action like a man. Chapter 38, verse 3. And have you commanded the morning? Do you bind the chains of Pleiades? And here chapter 39, do you know and control the animals? Of course not. Kind of God's in control. And we'll get more of this tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.
Goodbye.